already gained so much from his insights on activating context. And now he's here to walk us through the next crucial step in effective teaching, which is presenting content in ways that truly connect with our learners. So, Kakolabs, let's give another warm welcome to our returning speaker, Sir Galvin Radley Ngo.
Salamat, Teacher
Yay!
Erica.
Hi, Sir Galvin!
Hello! Sige.
Hi! How was your lunch, Sir Galvin?
Ay, okay naman. Andito yung anak ko.
Ay,
May special
hello!
guest.
may another special guest din po pala tayo.
Oo. Sige.
Sir
Yeah,
Galvin,
okay
ano po
naman.
ba
Okay
ang
naman.
naging
Nakagutom
ano?
yung mga malagkit na pinakita mo. Parang mga
I
delicacy.
know, sir. Parang
Oo.
ready for dessert, di ba po?
Oo.
Kayo po ba, sir? Ano po ba ang ingredients at content ng lunch nyo?
Ulam kahapon, ulam kagabi. De, joke lang. Half din. Pero masarap pa rin naman. Pero, siya.
Masarap pa rin. Oh, I'm very glad to know na kayo po ay busog. And I'm pretty sure our kakolabs are also busog, but still hungry for more learnings from the one and only Sir Galvin Radley Ngo. And with that in mind, the floor is yours, Sir Galvin. We're all excited.
Thank you, Teacher Erica. So, anyway, sige. So, maraming salamat. Thanks, GBF, also for starting with that activity. I think that very much transitions us well to the next part of our session today, this afternoon. Kasi ngayong hapon, magtatanong tayo tungkol sa mga ingredients, no? Tungkol sa mga ingredients ng isang learning resource or ng mga learning resources natin na tunay na nakakatulong sa mga estudyante natin or sa mga learners, no? So, without further ado, we'll start, no? So allow me to share my screen and then we'll get started. Maraming salamat. Parang mainit-init pa yung chat natin, no? Sige. Okay, sige. So bago tayo magsimula, just in case a couple of you joined us this morning, gusto ko lang itawid ng konti, no? So kaninang umaga, ito yung isa sa mga key ideas natin. Pinag-usapan natin yung tungkol sa designing for motivation at nagpakilala ako ng 4 na principles na pwede nating gamitin sa ating disenyo, no? At siguro gusto ko lang, I just want to clarify that in applying these principles, they're not just applicable to a live scenario like this to your interactions with students, but I think more particularly in the examples this morning, I tried to show how you can actually use these principles in creating learning resources, no? So halimbawa, pag gumagawa kayo ng handouts, gumagawa kayo ng slides, gumagawa kayo ng modules. And our hypothesis here is that if we have learning materials that are well designed, and what we mean by well designed is, at least as far as the morning is concerned, that considers the context of students and tries to bring the context of students into the learning experience, then it helps learners learn well, no? And if you've designed good learning materials, more often than not, it's also something that you can continue to use later on, no? Hindi ko alam sa inyo, pero isa sa mga gusto ko gawin bilang teacher, pero minsan nakakapagod din, to be honest, ay gumawa ng mga slides, no? Kasi kapag gumagawa ako ng mga slides, napapansin ko, it helps me think about and anticipate what my learners' experience will be, di ba? Kasi minsan pag gumagawa kayo ng lesson plan, hindi mo iniisip nyo kung ano yung gagawin ninyo. Pero pag gumagawa kayo ng mga learning resources, more often than not, we're thinking about what are learner-facing materials, no? So, kung pag pinag-isipan nyo yung lalagay nyo sa slide, essentially, ito yung slide na ipapakita nyo sa learners ninyo at makikita ng learners ninyo, no? What I want to recognize at the onset is that, of course, this takes time, no? This takes a lot of time and effort, but what I've always found is that it's always good to invest in the time to do it now, because we will surely harvest later. But more often than not, that's my experience, no? That in the learning resources that I've made myself for my own classes, I find myself still even being able to use a lot of them 1 or 2 or 3 semesters after, no? So syempre yung iba kailangan ko na i-tweak kasi nagbabago rin yung set of students ko, but there are some things na mas pinag-isipan ko talaga dati na hanggang ngayon nagagamit ko pa, no? So something to keep in mind, no, as we think about how we can fine-tune our design practice, because obviously, no, there is a lot of time and effort that we may need to put in as teachers in making this happen. So, ngayong hapon, ang focus po natin ay tungkol sa presentation of content. Something that we do all the time through slides, through materials, through things that we create for our students. But what I'd like to invite you to think about is what are content that we're able to present that intentionally connects with students, no? So, yung dalawang C ang gusto kong ipagbangga natin ngayong hapon, no? Na kapag nag-iisip tayo ng content na ginagawa natin, whether you're talking about slides, handouts, modules, big books, or whatever it is that students have access to as part of the learning experience, what are explicit decisions that we make that intend for them to connect to those materials, no? Kasi mahalagang nakakapag-connect sila. And later on, we will look at the science, what we know from the science of learning that helps explain what I mean by making these connections. So again, when we talk about learning resources here, I'd like to invite you to think about the slides that you make, the videos maybe that you make yourself, or sometimes the videos that we curate, no? So for example, right now, ang maganda ngayon sa panahon ngayon, ang daming resources online na kapag meron kayong topic na gustong ipakilala sa students nyo, more often than not, there is something online that you can borrow and use in your class. However, the extra challenge I'd like you to think about is that when you borrow or curate any of those existing content, how do you decide to use it? No? What is your decision-making process? And hopefully, today's session will help you think about that a little bit more. No? What is a good video from YouTube versus a video? What is a video that will be more effective than something that is not as effective, no? So that even if you're not making your own materials, even if you're getting materials from existing materials out there and reusing them, you're very conscious of choosing materials that will really make learning more efficient. And then that's something that we will speak to today. So this morning, I started with our two big driving questions, no? Yung big questions na tinatanong natin, how can we design learning resources to be more effective? Yung unang sagot natin kanina is that effective learning resources activate from context, no? It's very context conscious. We ended by saying that effective learning resources are really those na nagsusundo sa ating mga learners. But this afternoon, we're gonna ask the second question a little bit more. How can we design learning resources to be more efficient, no? Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng efficiency pagdating sa learning resources, no? So or kung hindi nyo pa ito napag-isipan dati, baka magandang pag-isipan din yung word na efficiency. Ano ba naiisip nyo pag iniisip nyo efficient, 'di ba? Halimbawa, kung nagda-drive kayo or meron kayong motor, 'di ba? Minsan pag inisip natin efficient, parang okay, sulit yung gas ko, 'di ba? Parang mas nakakarami ka, mas nakakalayo ka kahit na ganito lang yung amount na kinastos mo sa panggas mo or something, no? Or halimbawa, minsan inisip natin yung efficiency in terms of time, no? Na 1 hour lang, kunyari, nag-exercise. Uso to ngayon, no? Parang mag-google kayo sa YouTube ng mga 10-minute exercise, diba? So, 10 minutes lang yung kaya nyong gawin, pero sulit, no? Sulit yung 10 minutes, no? So, paano natin masusulit, no? Paano natin masusulit yung interactions ng learners natin with content, whether it's something that we present to learners, or it is something that learners encounter on their own even without us, no? And the shift in thinking I'd like to invite you to think about is that we're not just thinking about designing content to be presented to learners, no? Our goal is for learners to connect to the content. And I will always go back to this word as this is the theme for our afternoon session. So I'd like to start by inviting you just to pause for a moment, no? And to think about a lesson that you found challenging, no? Found challenging to, so pwedeng either of two things, no? Found challenging to learn as a learner. So kunya babalikan ninyo, halimbawa sa akin, pinaka nahirapan ako sa philosophy, naalala ko nung college ako. But more than thinking about a lesson that you found challenging, I'd like you to pause and also think about why you found it challenging, no? Hindi muna tayo mag-share tungkol dito. Gusto ko lang simulan yung pag-isipan kasi I think ito yung foundation nung usapan natin ngayong hapon, no? So halimbawa para sa akin, kung babalikan ko yung tanong na to, siguro sa college, yung philosophy, doon ako pinaka nahirapan if I were to answer this on the spot. And one of the things that I found challenging were the readings, no? Parang yung vocabulary ng teksto, hindi ko maintindihan, no? So it took a while, no? It took a while for me to unlock what particular texts actually really mean, no? So I'll just pause for a few seconds to give you a chance to think about it, no? Is there something that you found difficult to learn before? And then try to think about why you found it difficult or challenging, no? Kung gusto niyo ibahagi sa chat, pwede, pero no pressure, no? At least for this particular exercise, I just want you to think about it kasi gagamitin natin yung experience ninyo to talk up to unlock one of the foundational concepts for our session today. So kung ano man yung naisip ninyo, may gusto kong ipakilala na ideya, no, na ito yung reason why, this might be the reason why we want to have this conversation this afternoon. One of the researches that I'm doing right now is on this idea coming from York and Bjork. Sabi nila, when it comes to learning, there are two kinds of difficulties, di ba? Dalawang klaseng hirap. There are the desirable difficulties, and there are things that are undesirable difficulties. In my example, maybe an undesirable difficulty there was the complexity of the text given to me. No? Na imbis na pag-isipan ko yung mga teorya na gusto kong pag-aralan, ang tagal kong binasa para lang maintindihan ko ano ba yung sinasabi ng teoryang yon, no? So arguably for me, one of the undesirable difficulties was the complexity of the text, that if the text may have been simpler, I could have spent more time doing the desirable difficulties, which was to really think about the philosophies being introduced to me, no? Or halimbawa, siguro sa basic education, baka may iba kayong mga examples dyan, no, na meron bang mga undesirable difficulties yung mga learners natin, at ang gusto natin gawin as life goals bilang mga guro ay subukan na i-eliminate or bawasan yung mga undesirable difficulties, diba? Hindi natin gusto tanggalin yung difficulties altogether kasi mahalaga na, at alam natin from the research in learning sciences that learning inherently should be challenging, no? So kapag hindi kayo na-challenge, more often than not, mas hindi kayo natututo, no? Kailangan ng challenge yung learning. But there are some challenges that we want to get out of the way so that learners can focus on the challenges that will more efficiently lead to learning. So this will be the theme of our discussion this afternoon. So a question that we're going to ask is, how might we design learning to be more efficient? So our answer to the question of how might we remove the unnecessary difficulties is to make sure that when we're creating learning resources, we're designing them for efficiency in learning, no? We're designing them considering what is most efficient when someone learns something. And we're not guessing here, no? Ang maganda dito, marami na tayong alam from research and theory about how people learn, no? And it's not exclusive to one kind of person or sets of people from different cultures. There are some universal principles that we can actually draw from to start to think about efficient learning. So I'd like to start with a short activity. So as we think about how we might make learning more efficient, I thought that we will focus on one particular learning material that we all probably make, no? And that those are slides, no? So lahat tayo, more often than not, pag nagtuturo tayo, gumagawa tayo ng mga slides or ng mga learning materials na ipinapakita natin sa students natin. So maglalaro muna tayo sandali ng this or that. So in the next few slides, I will have two icons that represent two choices. I will explain what the two choices are, and then I will pause to allow you to vote for which one do you think will make learning more efficient. Okay? Sige, magsimula tayo. So this or that. Yung this natin ay isang slide na ganito yung itsura, yung that natin na isang slide na ganito yung itsura, no? So yung sa una may parang teksto lang, sa pangalawa parang merong drawing ng angle. Which one do you think will make learning more efficient? So I'd like to invite you to use the react function of MS Teams to give me a heart if your vote is that, and give me a thumbs up if your vote is this, no? Tapos pwede rin kayong maglagay sa chat kung mas accessible sa inyo yung chat, no? So ulit, thumbs up if your vote is this, heart if your vote is that. Sige, tingnan natin kung ano yung sagot ng mga tao. So maraming mga that, no? Maraming mga that. Wala pa ako nakikitang this, no? Wala naman pong, mamaya natin pag-uusapan kung ano yung posibleng tamang sagot, no? Pero siguro, bago tayo pumunta dun sa next exercise natin, pwede ko ba kayong imbitahan na mag-share ng kaunti sa chat? Bakit kaya, no? So ano yung nakita nyo dun sa that na nasabi nyo, ay parang mas okay to, mas efficient yung learning kung ganito yung learning resource na ginamit natin. So I'll pause for a moment to just allow some people to share. So why that, no? Bakit heart yung vote ninyo? Ano yung mga nakita nyo? What are the elements that you saw in this particular image that you think may contribute to efficient learning? Okay, so may mga nagbanggit na dito. From Ma'am Melanie, sabi niya, it has figures and easy to understand by students. No? So nakita niya na merong element ng figure, yung drawing ng angle. No? Sabi naman ni Sir Con, boring kung text lang, no? So yun yung interpretation niya kung bakit that yung sagot niya, no? Eye-catchy. Yan. So nakikita natin yung sa chat ngayon yung mga reasons natin, no? And ito yung mga inherent reasons natin. Ito yung mga iniisip natin kung bakit tayo nagde-decide to do this or that in our own practice. Okay, so yun yung unang example. Kuha pa tayo ng dalawa, no? Second example, ngayon naman sa science, no. Halimbawa, nagtuturo tayo ng tungkol sa scientific method, no. So let's say ito yung mga steps ng science. Alam ko nung ginugol ko po ito, maraming iba-ibang terms for the steps, no. So please don't look at the content, just look at the form for now. This, if you think that the best way to learn this more efficiently is to have one slide with the four, that if you feel like we should break it down into 3 slides, no? So yung first slide, number 1 lang, second slide, number 2 lang, third slide, number 3 lang, so and so forth. So again, please vote this or that. So thumbs up if your vote is this, heart if your vote is that, and as you saw, as we did over chat a while ago, you're also invited to explain a little bit. What are the elements that you see here that made you vote for this or that, no? So, ayan, may ibang nag-vote ng this, may ibang nag-vote ng that, no? So, bakit, no? So, si Ma'am Fe voted for that. Sabi ni Ma'am Fe, because it shows it step by step. Okay? Ma'am Evelyn, because of the illustration. Okay, so for Ma'am Evelyn, the illustration helped, no? Maybe probably for both instances, the illustration may have helped. Okay, may nagsabi din ng 1 slide per step. So very interesting, no, nakikita natin sa chat na mas hindi pare-pareho yung pag-iisip natin. No? Some people think that it's this, some people think that it's that. We will not reveal any right answer for now, but it's good to just get you thinking about this. No? Okay, one last example before we look at some ideas that will help us unpack our decision making. This, if you feel like the slide to your left is better or more efficient, that if it's a slide to your right. No? So this time I will not explain it. I'll invite you to take a look at the slide and to read through what's on the slide, no? And to try to differentiate try to find out what's different between the 2 slides and to make a decision. No? So heart, if your vote is that, thumbs up if your vote is this. There you go. Okay, so most people are voting heart. Nakikita ko ngayon, no? Most people are voting heart. Kasi mas konti. May isa nagsabi, mas konti, mas maiksi. Okay. Too wordy. So naninig ko too wordy. Mas specific. Okay. Okay, smart. Okay. Promoting HOTS. Okay. Siguro dahil may tanong, no? Yung pangalawa, no? Mas inquiry approach. No? So, marami tayong iba-ibang pinanggagalingan as you can see here, no? And sa totoong buhay, when we create learning materials and learning resources, ganito po siya, no? That we often base our decisions on many different things, many different principles. No? So let me screen share again just to make sure I'm able to share sound because I'd like to show you something in the next portion. Okay, there you go. Okay. Sige, maraming salamat. So let's park our thoughts for now, no? But what we're going to do is we'll try to make connections between your own thinking about what might be more efficient in terms of learning resources, given the few choices that I gave to you, and what we know from the learning sciences. No? So subukan natin tingnan kung which of our practices agree with the theories, which of our practices are challenged by some of the theories, so that later on we can make a decision for ourselves, no, as to what it's actually more efficient or what we'd like to do for our own particular purpose. So before we move forward, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show this short video to you. This is coming from BuzzFeed. It's called Can You Get Through This Multitasking Test? Ang gusto kong gawin nyo sana ay habang pinapanood natin yung video, try to follow the instructions in the video. So let me just make sure that I am sharing my sound kasi meron po siyang sound element. Okay, sige. So I'll play the video right now and then just follow the instructions in the video.
2015, I finally got my driver's license. I was so excited that I'd earned the freedom to go wherever I wanted. My mum congratulated me on the hard work and surprised me with my favourite ice cream cake. As I took my first bite of the chocolate crunches, my mum told me that anytime I wanted to borrow her minivan, all I had to do was fill out a 5-page request form that had over 30 questions on it. I'm so glad my mum treats me like an adult now.
Okay. So, hindi ko na itatanong kung tama ba yung mga sagot ninyo. But if you were like me, when I first encountered this video, parang nalito po talaga ako, no? So, kung may naramdaman kayong kalituhan, okay lang yan. Part po siya ng experiment na ginawa natin. What you encountered can be an example of what we call cognitive overload. At yun yung isa sa mga pag-uusapan natin ngayon, no? Na ideally in learning, ayaw nating magkaroon ng cognitive overload, no? So, allow me to explain this particular theory to help you understand what happened to you a while ago, diba? So, in the particular video, more often than not, when an audience tries to engage with the instructions of the video, like me, my experience was, parang ang hirap ipagsabay, diba? Ang hirap ipagsabay yung parang, ay, iba yung naririnig mo sa nakikita mo, tapos parang, lalo nung kiniquiz na tayo sa dulo, parang wala ka nang maalala, no? So, ano yung nangyayari doon? And I think, this theory of multimedia learning will help us understand that. No? So allow me to break it down for you briefly. The first is when we're learning from a multimedia learning resource, like a slide or like a slide that's being presented to an audience or learners, just like what I'm doing right now. The first assumption is that we can actually utilize 2 channels, no? At least for people who are able to access these 2 senses, no? That we're able to utilize the auditory channel and the visual channel. So, a while ago, ito yung na-experience natin kanina na mismatch, no? Na parang naglalaban, no? Naglalaban yung auditory channel at yung visual channel natin. Lalo na dahil binabasa rin natin yung screen na nandun sa teksto. So, yung unang tanong na pwede nating pag-isipan coming from this theory in this first assumption is that when we design for learning resources, are we conscious of maximizing, no? Are we conscious of maximizing the auditory channel and the visual channel, no? That when we show and when we create slides for our learners, to what extent do our slides contribute to, let's say, what you're explaining live or what you're explaining in an online setting or what is being explained in an audio in an audio for a particular video that you're asking learners to watch to learn about content, no? So ito yung unang assumption, that whenever we're learning from a multimedia setting, there is an opportunity to maximize the dual channel. And the questions are we maximizing the dual channel? Are we overloading the dual channel? How are we strategizing this? And then what usually happens when we're learning from multimedia is that using those 2 senses, it goes to our working memory, no? So sa mga mga basic psych natin, I'm sure na natutuhan natin yun, no? Yung tungkol sa working memory, that lahat tayo, meron tayong working memory. And where we're learning something new, more often than not, it goes first to our working memory, no? So the sounds and images, they're converted to this verbal and pictorial model, and it's held in our working memory temporarily, no? So parang ganun yung nangyayari, no? Parang it goes through that filter through our working memory first. And what we know from psychology is that our working memory is limited, and this is the second assumption, no? There are studies that say that 7, no? Ibig sabihin we can only accommodate usually 7 new things at the same time. More recent studies sometimes point to the number 4, no? So there are just 4 new things at the same time, no? So what the second assumption reminds us of is that when we're learning from multimedia and when we're learning in general, I think, when we're learning new information, things that are foreign to us, we can only hold a certain number of new information at a time, no? So, ibig sabihin, kunyari, nag-introduce kayo ng 10 ideas sa students nyo, tapos parang litong-lito sila, ito yung nangyayari dyan, no? Parang nahihirapan sila dahil ang dami, no? Masyadong marami at na-overload sila dahil doon. The third assumption, I think, is one of the most important ones. The third assumption says that when we talk about learning, this is actually how learning happens. Learning is not just absorbing, no? That when I'm showing you this slide, hindi siya parang The Matrix, kung napanood niyo po yung pelikula na dahil pinakita ko yung sa slide, parang na-download na po sa utak ninyo yung sinasabi ko. Hindi po totoo yun, no? That learning, what we know about learning is that it's an active process wherein we connect things from our long-term memory to our working memory. For those who were with us in the morning, that's why activating from prior knowledge is important, no? Because when you recognize prior knowledge, you make this process more explicit. You try to find ways for students to think about something familiar to them so that what the unfamiliar thing you're introducing can be connected to what is familiar, no? So these are three assumptions that are important, no? And based on these three assumptions, our task as learning designers is to create learning resources that try to maximize the dual channel, work with our limited working memory, and make sure that active processing is happening. So what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is I'd like to introduce to you some principles that will make this more actionable. So paano ba natin gagawin ito, no? Tulad nung session natin ngayong umaga, I will introduce some principles, some examples, and strategies on how you can do it, no? So isa-isahin ko po siya, and then we'll also do an exercise so that we can try to see what this actually looks like if we try to apply the principles. The first principle is called the multimedia or words and pictures principle, no? Essentially, what this is reminding us of is that learning is better when we use both words and pictures, no? So if you look at my slide, I intentionally show you two versions tulad ng this and that natin, no? Na kung ang ipapakita niyo sa mga learners ay yung first slide, yung sa ibabaw, let's say yung words lang, obtuse, acute, right? Tapos nag-explain kayo tungkol sa obtuse, acute, right? Yung words po doon, hindi ganun ka nakakatulong, no? Parang the extent by which it contributes to learning is less than the slide below. Because if you look at the slide below, the image that you put there is not just there for aesthetics, no? The image that is included there contributes to the learning about these different types of angles, no? Because they show you images that correspond to the label that I'm introducing. So for example, if I'm explaining what obtuse, acute, and right angles are, there are two sources of information right now. My explanation and the images and the words that you see there on the slide, no? So the first principle is that when we show images, it adds a second layer of information that contributes to learning. Here's another example, no, from science, no, since some of you teach science. You might explain gravity this way. Gravity is an invisible force that pulls objects toward each other. Earth's gravity is what keeps you on the ground and what makes things fall. No? So a very simple explanation about gravity. So imagine explaining that without any visual, and then imagine and comparing that to explaining that with this particular visual on the right, no, where you try to illustrate a situation where you can actually see gravity at play, no. So again, no, so I think this is another example wherein I hope that you can begin to recognize how the image that we are adding to the learning resource contributes directly to the learning of the content, no. So both the explanation and the image now come together in those two channels to maximize learning. Something that you may want to think about is how do you make slides, no? So if, for example, we're just reading off our slides, that's a lost opportunity. At least that's what this principle will tell us, no? Because if you're just reading off the slides, essentially you're just using the auditory channel. You're just explaining the same thing, and the words on screen do not directly does not add another layer of contribution to learning. But transforming those to images may do that, no? And that's the first principle. The second principle is called coherence or weeding. This is a very simple principle to understand, but a lot of us fall into this trap as well. If you look at the slide here, nakita niyo ba si SpongeBob, no? And one of the things that we may not always immediately notice about slides like this, because you might say that nilagay ko si SpongeBob dyan dahil dahil yung si SpongeBob gusto ng mga estudyante ko, no. Pero ang tanong dito, may kinalaman ba si SpongeBob dyan sa right angle? Pwedeng oo, pwedeng hindi, no. Pero parang accidental siya dun sa slide na ito, no. So, in the coherence and reading principle, the invitation is for us to think about this, no, that people learn better when you actually exclude extraneous materials. When there are things in your slide that don't really relate or add to learning about the content, what this will tell you is just to remove them, no? So halimbawa, kahit na alam nyo maraming may crush kay Lee Min Ho at tinagay nyo si Lee Min Ho dyan at gusto nyong gawin yan, baka kay Lee Min Ho na lang po tumingin yung mga students nyo at hindi na po dun sa iba mas mahalagang parte ng slide, no? So coherence or reading invites us to think about that. Are there unnecessary things in your materials, or are there things that you may have wanted to put there for motivation purposes but do not necessarily relate to the content of the slides, no? Ayan, merong mga nagbabahagi over chat. I just want to acknowledge, no, in relation to maybe the multimedia words and pictures principle from Ma'am Armely Ramat, no, na mas naiintindihan ng mga learners dahil na-associate nila yung illustrations ideas. Yes, no? So, ganyan nangyayari yung mga principles na to sa totoong buhay. Maraming salamat. The third principle is the principle of segmenting or chunking. Again, I think this is something that we practice but maybe we don't name, no? It says that people learn better when you break down long segments of material into smaller pieces, no? So halimbawa, if you remember the example a while ago of the scientific method, no? Imbis na in one slide, andun lahat ng scientific method, baka mas magandang pa isa-isa, no? So that you can point out each particular part of the scientific method. No? So in the example here, I have, for example, you're talking about factors and you're talking about product. Maybe talk about factors first and show what's relevant to that, and then talk about product and show what's relevant to that when that is what you want to discuss. No? So ang tawag po dyan ay segmenting or chunking. Okay? Ang exemption lang po doon is if you want several elements on one slide with the purpose of them complementing each other. No? So halimbawa, after introducing these three types of lines already prior to this slide, it's okay to show a slide like this, no? Because learners would have already known about the parallel lines, intersecting lines, and perpendicular lines. In other words, going back to our theory a while ago, maybe by this time, na-connect na po nila sa long-term memory nila, no? Yung mga definitions na ito. And they're now ready to try to differentiate among them or to look at them together. No? So, ito lang po yung exception dun sa rule ng segmenting or chunking. Okay, so there are three principles to start with: multimedia, reading, and segmenting. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a chance to try it out. So over chat, I'd like to invite you to try to problem solve with me. No? So may problem solving tayo just for a few minutes. Halimbawa, ito yung problema natin. No? Parang itong teacher na to, ito yung gusto niyang ibahagi sa students. Gravity is a fundamental force of nature. I'll allow you to read it on your own. And my question is, which of the three principles do you think can make learning more efficient? And what are some tips that you will give this teacher to revise this particular slide? No? So halimbawa, itong gray slide na to ay tunay na slide na hinanda na isang teacher. Ano kaya yung pwede nyong sabihin sa teacher na to na gawin para ma-modify po niya yung slide niya para mas maging efficient ang learning, and which principle? No? So I can see over chat that people are saying A and B. Okay? And I'll invite you to also give some ideas, no, not just to tell me which principle. So halimbawa A, multimedia. Sige nga, if we apply the principle of multimedia here, ano kaya yung pwedeng idagdag or i-edit ng teacher na to sa slide na ito, no? Ayan, sabi ni Sir J, A, add an illustration. No? So baka makakatulong na may illustration dito, no? Applying the multimedia principle. Thank you. Ma'am Lorraine, A and C, no? Segmenting, no? Interesting, no? May nagsabi din, show a video. So, using the multimedia principle, maybe you could also show a video instead of just this explanation, no? May nagbahagi ng C. Ano kayang pwedeng gawin na related sa C, no? Okay, multimedia with clear details and examples. Okay. Add pictures to visualize. Try to use bullet points, no? Isang magandang strategy yan for segmenting, no? So imbes na ang nasa slide niyo ay mahabang explanation, maybe bullet points with keywords, and then you can explain as a teacher, or let's say gumagawa kayo ng video, the audio can be the one to explain it more, no? Applying the principle of multimedia, no? Okay. Ayan, ang daming mga ideya, Teacher Eric,
Yes,
sa
ang
chat.
dami
No?
pong
Hindi ko nababasahin
mga
lahat kasi
nag-share.
ang dami nila. Pero tingnan natin no, yung mga idea dito. Ito, so gusto kong basahin to kay Sir Mark. Segmenting, separate the discussion of the definition and the explanation of how gravity works as a force. Yan. So, very concrete suggestion, no? Na baka pwede tong basagin into 2 slides, no? Na definition muna, tapos after ng definition, pwede tayo magbigay ng example, no? Rather than talking about everything in 1 slide to prevent cognitive overload.
Yes.
Okay. Maraming salamat. So, mag-exercise ulit tayo mamaya. Thank you very much. I hope that the principles have been helpful to help you think about designing your learning resources so far. No? So tatlong prinsipyo muna, no? Multimedia, weeding, and segmenting. So I'd like to talk about 3 more. No? So very briefly and pretty easy to understand, but again, good to be aware of. No? So the next principle is called signaling. No? So coming from the root word signal, it says that people learn better naguguluhan na yung slide ko. People learn better when you use cues that highlight the organization of essential material, no? So, yan na tinatawag nating signaling, no? That when there are particular things in your slide that you want students to pay attention to, we can use visual elements to actually point to them. So, the 2 examples that you see here on the left are, for example, dinidiscuss nyo yung agonsa at sa letter O na kayo, naka-highlight yung letter O at naka-highlight yung ano ba yung related sa letter O. Or halimbawa, dun sa slide sa kanan, if you're talking about lab materials and you're talking about, di ko alam kung beaker po ba to, no? Mukha siyang beaker, sana hindi ako nagkamali. Bibilugan nyo po, no? Yung part na gusto nyong pagtuunan ng pansin ng students ninyo. And I'm pretty sure you're beginning to do this, no? Ang tawag po dyan ay signaling. A powerful mechanism in using signaling are these pre-attentive attributes. I don't know if you've heard about this before, no? What they found is that they're actually what we call pre-attentive attributes. Kaya siya pre-attentive dahil even before you asking someone to pay attention to certain things, what they found is that these attributes, when shown to people, naturally communicate priority, no? Naturally, halimbawa, tingnan niyo yung length, no? Naturally, when you look at the picture under length, dahil mas mahaba yung isa, parang may sinasabi na siya sa inyo na parang, ay parang mas mahalaga to. Or for example, thickness, di ba? Mas makapal or mas malaki yung isang bagay. Parang may sinasabi na siya na parang, this is more important. Pay attention to this and not that, no? So, when we lay out, for example, our learning resources, these things come into play, and these are some things that we can actually use. No, these are actually design elements that we can use in our learning resources. That when we want to emphasize something or draw attention to a particular thing, we could use size, shape, enclosure, even space, no, or position, as you can see here, or color, no, kung may kulay po siya, kunyari slide po siya at hindi siya black and white printed material, no. So I'll show you some examples of this in practice. So halimbawa, dito sa slide na to, ginamit natin yung arrows, no? Yung arrows as a form of signaling. Dito rin, no, to point out to, let's say, the liver, no, gumamit din tayo ng arrow, no. Dito naman, gumamit tayo ng enclosure, no. So, halimbawa, ito yung gusto nyo pagtuunan ng pansin ng students nyo, baka pwede nyo siyang ilagay sa isang kahon or bilugan nyo po siya sa slide ninyo, no. So that, even without you telling the students to pay attention to that particular portion, naturally, they will do that, no. So, it makes it more efficient, no. So, kumbaga, pinakita nyo pa lang yung slide, wala pa kayong instructions na sinasabi, doon na sila titingin, dahil inherently, alam po ng utak natin na because of these pre-attentive attributes, pay attention to this, pay attention to this. No? Another way by which we can do signaling is by using icons. No? This is something that I also like to do in my practice. Halimbawa, gumagawa ako ng mga modules. Meron po akong hinahandang mga icons. Halimbawa, ito, read, watch, listen, share, discuss. Tapos, consistently ko po siyang ginagamit kapag ito po yung activity ng students. No? At nasasanay po yung students. No? Nasasanay po sila na parang, ay, pag nakita nila itong icon na to, listen activity to, or nakita nila tong icon na to, share activity ito, no? So, dahil nasasanay po sila, hindi na po nila iniisip kung ano yung activity pagdating doon, no? Parang, na-override po natin nababawasan po natin yung cognitive load na ginagamit po nila dahil, alam na nila, no? Na parang, oy, may nakita akong icon na dalawang dialogue bubble, magdi-discuss tayo, parang ba yan? So it lessens what you need to communicate because the material communicates it already. The advice though, and the warning about signaling is really this, no? That sometimes we can have a tendency to signal too many things, di ba? Hindi ko alam kung nangyari na po sa inyo to, na meron po kayong ipinapakita, tapos parang, ay, mahalaga to, i-bold natin, ay, mahalaga nito, i-underline natin, ay, mahalaga to, gawin natin malaki yung font. Ngayon, kung masyado ng maraming sinisignal, wala na po tayong sinisignal. So, nawawalan po ng power ang signaling kung masyado na po siyang maraming sinisignal. So, ito lang po yung warning ng signaling as a principle. The power of signaling is when you use it sparingly, no? When the difference between what you want learners to pay attention to is obvious, no? Kapag hindi na po siya obvious tulad nitong example na to, nawawalan po siya ng bisa, no? Siguro bago ako magpatuloy, sisilipin ko lang po yung chat kung meron po mga nagbabahagi ng mga ilang ideas, no? So sabi ni Ma'am Gemaline, and you're considering these design learning resources. Ngayon ko lang nalaman yung mga pangalan. Oo, no? So baka yun yung experience nyo ngayon, no? Na parang ginagawa nyo naman to, pero may mga pangalan pala talaga siya, no? At minsan may halaga yung may pangalan siya kasi mas kaya nyo siyang ituro sa ibang tao. Diba? Minsan kapag ginagawa nyo siya, tapos hindi nyo siya nako-code, no? Hindi nyo na kaya na-label yung ginagawa ninyo, mas mahirap siya i-communicate. But knowing it, and having the words to explain it allows you to share it with other people. And I think that's very important so that we can contribute to professional development in our communities. No? Sige. So, I'll move forward and then mag-exercise ulit tayo. No? So the last principle is called personalizing. No? The last principle basically says that what they found in their research about learning is that people learn better from multimedia presentations when you use more conversational language than formal. No? So halimbawa, even when you compare these two sentences, meron daw po siyang difference when it comes to learning. No? That, for example, the number 9 can be seen here versus we can see the number 9 here. No? So when you compare these two sentences, there are minor differences, but the key difference here is that the second sentence speaks to you, di ba? Parang kinakausap po kayo ng pangalawang sentence rather than the first sentence. No? So being conscious of these things are important, no? Most especially when we draw resources from when we draw from existing resources, 'di ba? Minsan sa pagmamadali natin, nagka-copy paste po tayo, 'di ba? Nag-research tayo, naghahanap tayo ng mga articles, tapos parang magandang definition na 'to. Copy, i-paste sa slide, ipakita sa students, no? Ang sinasabi po ng principle of personalizing, okay, sige, i-paste mo siya, tapos pag-isipan mo kung paano mo siya gagawing mas personal kaya, no? So that it becomes easier for students. No? So just wanted to cite this particular study coming from Moreno and Mayer when they actually compared, no, parang formal text versus personalized text, and we see here that in their transfer test, meron pong difference, no? That it actually affects learning. So this is something that we can be more conscious of, most especially in learning resources that are printed and learning resources that we want students to go through on their own without the teacher. No, we probably feel the effect of not following this principle less in a live scenario kasi nandun po kayo di ba? As nagkukwento kayo, tapos you're able to override the formality because you're there to do that. But in instances wherein you're not there, for example, for handouts, for slides that you're asking learners to read, for websites that you're asking them to read from, parang ganyan. Dahil wala po kayo, mahalagang ma-anticipate ito, no? Para makatulong sa kanila. Okay, so we'll do one last recap and review, and then we're going to wind down with just a few key ideas that to drive home the point, and then we'll do some Q&A. No? So, para sa review natin, naghanda po ako ng ilang mga examples. No? So, ito yung unang example ko. At yung tanong ko ay, which principle or principles is or are evident in my example, no? So gumawa ko na isang slide tungkol sa fractions, no? Nakalagay diyan, you can show parts of a whole, tas meron pong picture ng pizza, no? So ano yung mga principles na tingin yung nakikita niyo dito ngayon, no? So okay. head over chat and then type in the letter, no? So nilagyan ko siya ng letters para mas madali para sa inyo sa chat, no? A, B, C, D, or E. If you were to identify which principles are present here, ano yung nakikita nyo, no? Ano yung nakikita ninyo? So awareness exercise tayo. So sa chat, nakikita natin may mga sumasagot na letter D, letter C.
Yes.
Oo, no? Okay, so
Meron
extra
din
challenge,
A.
no? Extra challenge. Explain nyo ng kaunti. So bakit A, bakit D? Ano yung element na nakita nyo dyan na align sa letter A or letter D? So parang ano, no, Teacher Erica, parang maraming sumasagot ng A at D, no? Yun yung pinaka-prominent. Marami, oo. O yung highlight, no? So may sumagot na yung segment, yung letter D ay yung highlight, yung parts of a whole, no? Yung obvious na highlight. Pictures o letter D. Ay, sorry, picture
Ayan
siguro,
po,
letter
sir.
A.
May nagsabi po, si Miss Maureen. Sabi po, personalizing is like playing Family Feud. Dapat ang isasagot mo is based sa karamihang ginagamit.
Okay, pwede. That's an
May
interesting
nagsabi din po,
interpretation.
sir, si Sir Ronald. A for pictures and D for signals.
Okay, sige. So medyo nakuha natin to. I have a couple more examples. Next example, dito po science naman, no? Ano yung nakikita niyong mga principles at play here? So pwedeng isa, pwedeng dalawa, no? Sinadya kong medyo iba-iba para mapaisip kayo. So letter C, no? So may nagsabi segment, or baka kanina po to, no? So antayin natin yung mga sagot. So ano yung mga principles na nakikita natin dito, no? So maybe you can share. All right, so letter C, may mga nagsabi na letter C. I also invite you again to try to qualify, no, so that we can also learn from what you saw. So kunyari, letter D, signaling, no? It uses a picture showing the parts of a whole. Gumalaw. Teka lang, asan yun? Ay, nawala siya. Okay. Okay, A for illustration, D for the green color. Ayan, thank you Sir Emmanuel. Sinadya ko po yan, no? Kasi dahil gusto ko ipakita yan as an example, no? If you notice, the word cells is in green, and then the illustration is in, the dots that compose the illustration is in green as well, no? Okay, may pinadala sa akin over chat na nahabol, no? Letter A, it uses a picture showing the parts of a whole, and letter B, because of using the highlighted words, and letter D, U, no? So parang all living things are made up of cells, no? Parang, okay, sige. So one last exercise before we wind down and move on to Q&A mode, no? So, itong exercise na to, babaguhin natin ng konti. Given this particular text, no? So, halimbawa, ito yung gusto nyong ituro. Triangles can be classified by side length as equilateral, isosceles, so on and so forth. Which principle might help this become more efficient if you were to revise this slide or material? And what might you change? Sige, so, kayo naman yung mag-iisip ngayon ng pagbabago, no? So, pumili po kayo ng isang principle, tapos mag-suggest po kayo ng pagbabago dun sa slide na ito. So, I'll give you some time to think about it. And then, when you're ready to share, just head over chat and share some ideas, no? Okay, so may mga definition of triangles, kinds of triangles, and angles. No? So parang segmenting. No? So i-break down yung ideas into 3 parts. No? Thank you. Okay, separate the classification. Merong nagsabi, A, add an image. No? So ano kayong image na pwedeng, so baka extra challenge ulit. No? So kunyari letter A yung naisip ninyo, ano kayong magandang image na ipakita dito? No? So halimbawa, for any part of this sentence, triangles can be classified by their side lengths as equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. Ano kayang interesting na image na pwede nating isama dito? So magandang pag-isipan yan, no?
Ayan, sir, may nagsabi po, si Sir JV, multimedia, show pictures with the different angles.
Okay, yeah. So pwede sigurong ano, no, parang just to push that example forward, pwede niyo sigurong isipin, ano ba yung mga iba-ibang angles na nakikita niyo sa bahay, no? So halimbawa, baka may picture ng isang bahay kung saan nakikita niyo yung iba-ibang may lamesa, merong may box, 'di ba? Parang and then para makita nila yung iba-ibang angles, no? So showing images to contribute to their understanding of these different types of angles. Okay. Thank you very much, no? Ang daming mga ideas na ibinahagi sa chat. May clock daw. Pwede rin may clock. Hindi ko. Pwede, no? Kasi yung degrees, no? Magandang
Yeah.
magandang visual yung clock doon sa degrees. Oo nga, no? Maganda
Ang
yan.
galing.
Magandang very creative suggestion para dito. Okay. So thank you very much, no? So what I'd like to do as we close out the presentation portion of our session is just to do a quick recap about what we are trying to do in applying all of these 5 principles, no? As I mentioned, no, parang what we're trying to do here is really to manage cognitive load. And what this means is that we acknowledge that there are actually 3 kinds of load in any learning experience, no? There's what we call the intrinsic load, yung inherent complexity of the information. There's what we call the germane load, the cognitive load that you need to actually understand something. Dun sa konsepto natin kanina, ito yung ating necessary difficulty, yung kailangan nating pag-isipan, di ba? Pero meron ding mga extraneous load as we emphasize today, no? There are some things that actually distract our working memory or that provide something that takes away from the other 2 loads that we need to pay attention to. So to summarize, the goal of when we think about our learning resources, our goal ideally should be to simplify the complexity of new information to lessen the intrinsic load. So if you remember my example a while ago, a text with so difficult vocabulary might be hard to read, no? And that might get in the way of actually learning the concepts that you want them to learn by reading the text, no? So simplifying it might help in that sense, no? We talked a lot about using the principles to reduce, no, the extraneous load, no, para hindi mo na pag-isipan kung what to pay attention to, mag-signal tayo and things like that. And what you really want to happen is you want the learners to be able to maximize the time spent using their germane load, no? And the germane load is really what you need to the challenge or the difficulty that is necessary, no? Because when you want to learn something, difficulty is still necessary, no? Parang struggling with an idea continues to be necessary. But if you think about the learning experience of our students, are we able to say that they're using the time more for the germane? Or are these issues of extrinsic and intrinsic load getting in the way, no? Na hindi nyo maintindihan, so hindi man lang sila nakakatawid dun sa trying to understand the idea kasi yung language mismo hindi na nila naintindihan in the first place, for example. So I'd want to close with an idea. Dun sa mga nag-attend ng session kanina, we ended with a Filipino word, sabi natin, yung activate from context, ay isang parang pagsundo, no? Ito naman, itong presenting content that connects to learners, para sa akin, a visual that we may want to think about is para siyang paghahanda, no? Para siyang paghahanda, lalo na sa pagkain ng isang tao na, lalo na kung hindi ikaw ang kakain, no? And that's very akin to our experience as teachers. Hindi po tayo yung natututo. Diba? Parang the teachers never do the learning for students. No? Ang ginagawa lang natin is we are creating opportunities for students to learn. But in creating opportunities for students to learn, mahalagang paghandaan ito. No? Kanina, nung nag-lunch break po tayo, wala po yung asawa ko at yung anak ko dahil may pinuntahan po sila. Kailangan ko pong ihanda, no? Kailangan ko pong ihanda yung mga plato, yung mga spoon and fork, para pagdating nila, kakain na lang. No? So ano yung analogy po nito, no, in relation to learning, no? And hopefully the principles today will help you think about that, no, na maihanda natin yung mga learning resources so that learners can focus more on the learning rather than the unnecessary difficulties that we discuss, no, that often get in the way of learning and make learning less efficient for them. So yeah, I want to close here and